So in his maiden State of the Province address last night, the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi outlined plans by the provincial government to deal with the energy crisis that's affecting all of us. At the moment, stage 6 blackouts are in place indefinitely. Plans include building a 1.2 billion rand solar farm in Gauteng. This will happen in Merafong within this year, as well as fighting crime, dangerously high levels of crime in Gauteng. We're joined tonight by Premier Panyaza Lesufi to talk more about the State of the Province address. A very good evening to you, Premier. Thank you so much for coming in. So 1.2 billion rand, which you will spend on solar energy. Finally, an admission then at provincial level that basically the course we've been on with the ESCOM has been a failure. Is that it?
There's been a difficult period. I don't think that we've managed the energy crisis well. So as provinces, we felt we should also enter the space and try to assist. We've got just a low leg room to play because legislation allows mainly national government and local government to play in the energy space. But we felt we can't just fold our arms when we're going through these difficulties. We are the economic hub of the country, and we can't allow factories, industries to shut down or to leave our province purely because of energy. Hence, we went to the market almost 6 months ago to look for people that can give us 800 megawatts. We are quite pleased that we've got those people that are ready to construct so that we can release 800 megawatts. That will save us at least 2 stages of load shedding.
Will those 800 megawatts come online within this calendar year?
Well, not necessarily within the calendar year because we're going to the construction stage, probably maybe early next year or latter part of next year, that would have those 800 megawatts to assist us.
Are they going to come on gradually or all at once?
Well, we prefer gradually. We prefer gradually on the basis that every megawatt counts. So whatever we get, whatever it's ready, we can then put it back to the grid.
So in reality, because people are tired of load shedding altogether, be it stage 2, stage 6 or whatever, people just want it to end.
Yeah.
When it starts to come on, this 800 extra megawatts of power in Gauteng comes online from the solar, how much of a difference will it make in the day-to-day reality of people? Is it just going to be in terms of the state of disaster declaration while hoping that ultimately national government frees us all, or will this make a huge dent?
We are not waiting for this solar farm only. We indicated in the speech that we are working with Johannesburg. Johannesburg City Power, they've indicated to us that they can give us 150 megawatts. There are things that they want us to fix with them. Because they're another arm of government, we have to enter into intense negotiations and discussion. We've started that. We will, after the appointment of the new mayor in Swan, we've got another power plant there in Rooival. So we will also enter that space. So it's a combination of all these things that we believe that in the ultimate end, at least it can take us out of load shedding for quite some time.
Is it all, would any of this be happening firstly if there wasn't the state of disaster declaration?
Surely not. That's what I'm saying. Surely. Obviously, we planned it long before the state of load shedding came. I think almost 6 months ago, we started to plan around the additional power that we might need. But it was intended for our hospitals, schools, institutions that we thought should always have power. But when we were hit by load shedding, we diversified and brought other additional. To get 6 internationally based and locally based companies willing to construct this solar farm, it's a major achievement on its own. But I agree with you. Load shedding is really a crisis that we must manage and manage quickly.
Why 6 companies?
Because that's the capacity we need. We don't need one person that you have to do. I mean, if you have to do or dig a hole alone, it will take long. But if you bring 6 people, it will take quicker, and that's the reason. And
you said right at the beginning of our conversation that you would like to do more, but legislatively you're not able to do more. How much room would you like to be given at provincial level to be able to generate your own power?
Limited leg room, let me be honest. Limited. That is why we are partnering with local government, which has a much larger space to play. I mean, City Power on its own, they've got their own 10% that they're generating on their own, and 90% come from ESCOM. And they've indicated to us that if we can invest the way we want to invest, they can move from 10% to 40% to generate their own power. To us, that's a major, huge step. We really believe it can assist us. And then when we bring either Rooival in Tshwane, if we agree with Tshwane municipality, we really believe at least we can have 50% non-reliance on the ESCOM grid.
We're waiting now for the announcement. We're told it's imminent. May happen before the end of the month of a new electricity minister. We're not too clear on just what that will come with, but we know there's a state of disaster declaration in place. Longer term, though, should we go into a space where provinces in this country are basically able or allowed to generate most of their own power without being tied so closely to what Eskom is able to provide, because that's had such a domino effect?
Well, legislation has been relaxed quite some time, or quite a lot, since we were hit by load shedding. I really appreciate that. We could not even build a solar farm like the one that we're building before, or almost 9 months ago. Since the president relaxed some of the legislation, I think we can. It's just that we need provincial government as well to be given the necessary powers, because you can have the power, but if you don't have the financial muscle and the resources, it's meaningless. So
but should we produce our own powers?
Yeah, we can. I think it will save us, I must be honest. It will be. We tried to say to Eskom, is it possible that we can assist with the plants that are powering Gauteng, but unfortunately we couldn't succeed. But what we have now on the table, I really believe it will assist us.
I don't know if you've seen it. The FF Plus today, in its reaction to your State of the Province addresses, you're putting icing on a rotten cake, basically with the aim of sparing the ANC from electoral defeat in 2024. Is that why you've announced all of this?
Do you take them serious?
Well, I don't have to take them seriously, but they are with you in council. They sit in the legislature, do they not? So we have to ask, because they do have a constituency that would be watching and listening to these conversations.
I don't take them serious.
Are you worried, though, about the thought of possibly losing 2024?
Not necessarily Freedom Front, I don't.
Not them, but your ANC dropping further in electoral support.
Well, there's no any political party that does not want to increase its electoral support. I mean,
but you worry that you may very well lose it next year?
We're not worried. We respect the choices of our people, and if people feel that we are not the party that should be in power, we must respect that. We've done that. I mean, we've been taken out of power in all the metros in the province, and we've accepted that. The same people that took us out of power felt that we were better than the one that we have, and they brought us back in power. So as an organization, I think we'll deal with it. But I mean, do
you acknowledge, though, Premier Lesufi, that the ANC is skating on very thin ice in Gauteng, that anything goes basically next year? You may win, you may lose.
Exactly. I'm glad you've added that point. You may win, you may lose. So we are.
But the chances of it swinging either way have never been so stark in the history of our elections.
I don't know. We rely on various polls, on research and other related matters, but we're quite aware that the African National Congress is going through difficulties, so we can't ignore that. But we'll work extremely hard to ensure that we remedy the situation.
Let's talk about e-tolls. It's something that predates your time as the Premier. We're now hearing, you confirmed last night, it's on its way out. But there's still an announcement that we're waiting to have from the provincial and national governments. Where will that announcement take us from what we know now? What still needs to be finalized?
Well, there are 4 critical areas. For example, the big one now that is delaying the proper announcement is the VAT part, value-added tax. Remember, if you use a certain service, you are charged VAT, and there's an institution that collects VAT. So if you scrap it and cancel the debt, are you paying back people's VAT? So it's something that is legislated. So we are working very hard to resolve that part. But the second part, there are people that have paid and there are people that have not paid. Are we treating them equally by saying those that have paid, we refund them, and those that have not paid, you demand that from now on, because of you, them off, you are no longer liable, but the previous debt, because when you were using the facilities, you must pay. We are working very hard to resolve that aspect. The third, which is very, very critical, is the contribution that the province must pay for the e-tolls to be finalized. So I'm hopeful tomorrow, probably the minister will say something about it, and on the basis of that, we'll have a remedy that will give us the timeline when they will be finally switched off. It's
a 70-30 split, I think, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Can you afford it? Based on the money you have currently?
We can't, but fortunately it's not something that we have to pay immediately. We've put a proposal that we want to pay between 20 to 25 years. So if we pay it and spread it for over 25 years, I think we can afford it.
And in terms of refunds then, because there were people who did get e-tags and they did start paying.
I'm one of them.
I mean, you were supposed to lead by example. People boycotted largely, but people did make payments.
Yeah.
How much consensus is there around possibly refunding those people for their spend?
It's part of our discussions. That is why it's delaying all these things. But there's a principled decision that the equation must be balanced. If we are going to cancel the debt of those who are not paying, therefore those that were paying also must benefit out of that decision. The form and the content is what we are trying to debate and discuss, and that's the announcement we're saying. If we agree at the negotiation team, I know tomorrow the technical team is meeting, and they will recommend to the political team, and after the budget speech I think we'll have an idea and we can make a proper announcement. So
those people can expect a refund, not just clear how it will be fashioned?
Well, natural justice dictates that must be treat everyone equally, and if you have to treat everyone equally, it's the debate that you can avoid.
Why was government so deaf to public sentiment on the issue of e-tolls? Because it was resisted for a decade. Why did it take so long for all of you to basically admit that you had been beaten, that the will of the people had won?
The national minister must come and respond to that. So I just came 4 months ago and we scrubbed them.
But you agree they were tone deaf?
The national minister must come and respond.
But you agree that the national government was tone deaf?
Well, not necessarily. I'm a proponent of e-tolls, to be quite frank. Those that use the roads must pay for it. You can't expect the poor who are not using the roads and their money must go and subsidize people that can afford to pay for it.
Then why scrap them if you're a proponent?
I'm a proponent of pay-user principle. If you use something, you must pay for it. It's just that when South Africans say we're not consulted, I don't think there's someone that say they don't want to pay. It's just that we're not consulted. So on the basis of that, I agree that they must be scrapped and let this unfortunate incident pass us, because
does that mean
we can't waste time on it when we know it will collapse the fiscus, because the interest was increasing, people are not paying, and therefore we have to take a decision, and have taken that decision. But the user pay principle is something that I really believe we must embrace and support.
Does that mean exactly that we are going to pay for these gantries somehow, not via e-tolls, but we're going to pay somehow, maybe in a year, 2 years?
Not necessarily. I think we'll put it as part of our tax base, because people are paying tax, so it will be part of the tax base, and any other licensing fees that we have to pay for your cars. So it will not necessarily be through the e-tolls. But
it will be a tax targeted at
not a
people
new specific
who drive.
No, not a new specific tax. No, I'm just saying we will fund it through our normal tax base. I mean, we collect tax as a province through gambling. So the people that are gambling, when they win, we collect a certain tax. So we can use that also to offset the cost.
But motorists aren't off the hook entirely?
They are, because they're not going to pay anything related to e-tolls.
For now?
I suspect permanently.
Okay. I want to ask you about something else that's very important, because you said this is an apex priority. Yeah. Fighting crime, linked to that is the issue of drugs in Gauteng, and you said yesterday drugs are on the verge of wiping out an entire generation. How will your plan stop that from happening?
We've rescued 75,000 already in the last 4 months. 75,000 young people that were hooked to drugs. Today they are training for various skills and various other things. So we just want to increase that to a larger number. We've increased the beds in our rehabilitation centers. We've just added 1,385 new beds. This is an emergency, to be quite frank. Young people are hooked, and there are many people that are benefiting out of this thing. So we have to rescue our children and assist them. And for us, within a shorter space of time, to rescue 75,000 young people, it's a remarkable achievement.
I come from a family with people who've got a history or troubles with addiction, and often the first stint in rehab is not what does the trick, right? Some come back and they relapse. How do we make sure that those who do come out stay on the other end and don't go back?
It's not the responsibility of the state alone, it's the responsibility of everyone. Families, as you said, society as a whole. We need to protect and encourage this. Even if I've rescued one person immediately, I'll be happy. Obviously, much relieved that we've managed to save 75,000 young people whose future was doomed. Now, amongst the 75,000, who knows, they will create new products and new technology in the future that will make us better. 75,000. It's
a shocking number.
It is. It is. We couldn't take everyone. That's why we're expanding the bed capacity, because some people are assisting them through walk-ins. But this person should be in a permanent rehab. But we'll keep trying. To me, it's an emergency. You can't have a society that will neglect its young people purely because we are scared of drug lords or people that are selling drugs to our children.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, let's let you go. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.